You have to imagine I'm in a rotating chair, spinning very fast. It's about my 80th rotation, and I am trying not to throw up. I am a NASA test subject. I had done everything I could to get into the program. I had crawled on my belly over broken glass, given them blood, doing all this stuff. And I just was, she's like, whenever it gets too much for you, the rotating, just tap out. And what they make you do is you have to put your head forward, your head back, your head this way, doing all this stuff. And I am about to just lose everything in my body. And she's like, and she kept saying in the thing, when it's too much, tap out. I know this game. I have older brothers. You do not tap out. You tap out, it gets worse. I was going to be the best rotating chairperson in the entire NASA program. I woke up with her above me. I guess I had blacked out. And she was trying to bring me back. I had almost had an arrest, had nearly killed myself in this freaking chair. And she said something to me that completely changed my life. Completely changed my life. And here is what she said. Christina, your resilience is a problem. And I got really, no, it's not. That's like the best thing about me is my resilience. My brothers used to hold me by my ankles and tickle me to try to get me to pee on my face. It never happened. I can take anybody. But this started me on this path of where else is my resilience a problem. So I was going through a divorce. My son, Sebastian, right after this happened, sat me down and said, Mom, when you're sad and you act like you're happy, I know you're sad. And I said, honey, wow. What do you want me to do? And he goes, just cry, and then we'll go play. I was like, we can do that? Transformed me to realize how much I was bracing, how much my grit was actually fragility. I thought it was grit, but I was absolutely fragile. There is a massive, all of us in this room, there's an outcome that we're trying to get to. And to get to that outcome, we have to shift people emotionally. And we have to confront reality sooner so we can improve it and create commitment with people rather than compliance. And there is a massive, that's me and Spanx, by the way. You should totally invest in that company. But what often happens for me is I get hijacked because my resilience is a problem, and I will do 100 meetings with people that are this, but it's that one that creates compliance. Am I the only one? You guys do that too? Everything. Okay, so everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, but a lot of us do the punching. So can everyone stand? Are you guys all in? Will you play for a minute? Yeah? Okay, so stand for a second. So here's the thing. Now you can't see me, but that's helpful for me. Here is the thing I will say to you. NASA taught me the beauty of tension and release. Tension creates adrenaline and different things going on in our body. Then the release is the biochemistry of tribing. And we're often optimizing in businesses for comfort. We're optimizing with our kids for comfort. And we're missing commitment is the release of tension. And so this shows up a lot in businesses. In businesses, we say things like, let's take that offline. I promise you, the companies that were fracked, that Dev showed us, there were people in meetings trying to tell them the baby is ugly, but no one was listening because the leader kept taking it offline because they were optimizing for comfort in the meeting rather than for real. So find a partner really quick. You guys willing to play? Find a partner. You should stand and face your partner about 8 inches away. 8 inches away. Okay, find a partner. Okay, so one of the things that NASA really showed me is that biologically it's hard to be loyal to an outcome when our physiology has changed and we don't notice it. So if my son, Sebastian, who I love, comes home and throws a bottle down on the ground and says, I hate school, what does my body want to do in that moment? What do I want to do? Smack him, no. I'm going to move away from you. No. What I want to do is correct him. I want to tell him not to be violent. But if I'm loyal to the outcome every time I'm around my son is to raise a healthy 25-year-old man. That is the outcome that I'm optimizing for. And clearly, throwing that bottle down, something has happened in his life that is bigger than him. And if my physiology is hijacked in that moment, I will forget my outcome. And my outcome is to help him with whatever's going on. Now, in that moment, I can look at him and I can send him to his room. That is biological. That is a soothing mechanism of discomfort. It's called distancing, and a lot of us do it. We distance when our discomfort gets bigger than our outcome. So in that moment, if I send him to his room, I am accidentally teaching him that, honey, when the world gets too big for you, don't come to me. I'm not your person because I only want you when I'm comfortable. And it's because a lot of us were raised to just get over it. Weren't you? Were you kind of raised to just get over it? So what NASA showed me is how much we're numbing the ugly feelings. We're skipping them. And frustration is often a sign of genius. Like, that's where the beauty is. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have you just stare into the eyes of the person in front of you with no, look at me, no talking, no touching, no kissing with the mouth open. 1 minute, ready, go. All right, please stop, look away. What happened? What happened? This was fun to watch. When I said kissing with the mouth open, some of you got your body relaxed. When I said stare, it was like, this is bracing. And a lot of us do it. What happens is something happens around us that our physiology doesn't like. We get something called biological aversion and we brace. And then our resilience steps in and tries to control it. But what's happening there is we're not integrating it and using it. Now, this is about the time that I have men come up to me and tell, because I tell them this is basically your fragility. You're fragile. So I will have a man come up, get in my face. I am a Navy SEAL. I was there for bin Laden. There's nothing fragile about me. I don't know what you're talking about. They will tell me about guns with letters and numbers in them that they were shooting from whatever, and they're all hopped up. And I can show them they're fragile by doing one thing. What do you think it is? Talking about my period. That's all I got to do. All I got to do. It's that part of my cycle that's clotty. And I just sneezed, and it was like a scene from Psycho. Biological aversion happens so instantly in us, and in some of you, it happened right then. You distanced. You took a step back from me. It's like, God. But these are dudes that can do mortal combat, and I can't talk about a shedding uterus that creates life. Like, what are you going to do about that? So one of the guys came up to me afterwards, and he said, you own me. I won't let my daughter tell me anything about that. And it turns out his wife had died of cancer. And I said, who's she learning this from? Who is she learning this from? Our resilience, our grit is also a fragility. So I'm going to have you stare again and have you do this another way. In the middle of it, I'm going to tell you what to do. So try to create comforts for yourself. Some of you are doing the staring exercise. It's not that. Try to stay present. Try to be with the person. And I'm going to tell you what to do in the middle of it. Just do it. Do not look at me. You're going to want to give me a weird look. Give it to me now. You're pretty good at those. Don't do that again. Okay, so ready? 1 full minute. Go. Look into their eyes for a moment. Look into their eyes, the color of their eyes. What's right around the pupil? Be with them for a moment. Look for the way that the wood doesn't burn. Be with them. What do you like about them? Even if you don't know them, what do you like about them? God forbid something happened to them on the way home. What would you tell their family? What would you say to the person that you're looking at? Why you're so glad they exist. Please stop. What was that like? Easier, right? Why is it easier? Let me get up here. Was it easier? Easier? Yes? So there is a biology to tribing that happens when we get out of our head. But a lot of us get out of our head and look for what's wrong because that's what we're wired to do. We're wired to do that. And at NASA, we were in teams of 18. They put us in jackets that test 22 pieces of physiology and then made us do all this stuff. They put us in a hypoxia chamber that took all of the oxygen out, and you have to do fractions and show how you can stay cognitive when there's no oxygen. What happens if I took all the oxygen out of this room? What would happen? No, you basically become drunk. So I was trash talking everybody in the program, saying, I majored in Long Island iced teas in college. I'm taking you all out. I'll be the best drunk person. If you watch the video, within 30 seconds, I'm completely lit. I'm flirting with everybody. It's totally embarrassing. Guy next to me is still doing fractions at 4 minutes, 1 second. They pulled us into a room, he and I, and they said, you two hate each other. And I was like, no, we don't. He's like, oh, God, yes. They said, we're going to show you your relationship through your physiology. They showed us from our biological aversion for one another started 8 seconds within meeting each other. And they showed us how we just looked for reasons why we were not connected. And that biological aversion is driving so much of our behavior and we're not even aware of it. Some of you will never talk to me again because you're afraid I'm going to talk about my period. Like your body does that, not your mind. And they said, if we can get the two of you learning how to team physiologically, no one will beat you. This is your other. And they did. And no one could beat us once we figured out how to use each other rather than be abused by each other. So discomfort is a sign that something's going right. It's a sign that something's going right. Meetings must be messier. It's a sign, if everybody agrees in a meeting, why are we having it? But it's our ability to be okay with not being okay. So you have 30 seconds. Tell the person the nice things you were thinking and have a seat. Go. Tell the person the nice things you were thinking and have a seat. All right. Come back together. Okay. So you can have a seat or you can stand. I feel better if you're standing. Makes me feel not so alone. So this is, a lot of us have been trained on IQ and EQ. And IQ and EQ is impossible to deploy unless we have high AQ. And this is something I made up in my collection agency because I hooked my team up to jackets and I'm like, why are some people really good at turning a confrontation into a conversation? And what is the number one goal of a collection call? That's the problem. That's the wrong outcome. Number one goal of a collection call is to establish enough relationships so they tell you the truth. If they tell you the truth, then you can figure out how to help them. And AQ is agility. It's the ability to live our values when things have changed. So NASA showed me to notice sooner that things are changed and not to do soothing mechanisms like distancing. We do this a lot. It's okay to distance when I'm in high AQ, but we often distance in low AQ. And that's when we don't see what the problem's revealing. We're missing it because we're taking it offline. The other one that we do quite often is broad sweeping statements. We make broad, sweeping statements as a soothing mechanism, but that doesn't change anything. If I say we suck at execution, nothing happens there. But it is, for me, a soothing mechanism. So what I learned most is to feel first. I had been taught to think first. That is impossible if your body is going another direction. Our operating system, if it's low agility, is going to deploy things that are outside of our values. This is when we do the jacked up stuff, because we're completely hijacked. Am I the only one? So the goal here is to have a practice to see discomfort as a sign that something is going right, and to notice all of the ways that I'm moving away from things that are the other, because that other might be our person. And to have a very clear shared outcome. I am divorced by somebody I'm pretty sure I brightened the room by leaving it for him. When he comes to the door to get his son, the one day a week he gets him. Do you hear me already? Low AQ. Knocks on the door, I open the door, and he goes, whoa, you've gained. All I want to have happen is my son to get in the car and for him to fill my son up in the way that a dad can. That's my outcome. Do you guys agree? Healthy 25-year-old man. When I open the door and he goes, whoa, you've gained 10 pounds, what do I want to do? Where's my violent person? I want to hit him in the face. But I don't want to hit him. I want to kick him, knee him, knock him out. But what happens to my outcome? It doesn't happen. So when I'm high AQ and that happens, I can look at John and say, wow, it's actually 15 pounds. You are so nice. Because I had gained 20 pounds. I was in kidney failure, and I was on steroids. And what kind of jacked up mother doesn't share that with her co-parent? That story wasn't him being bad. That was a story of me being too fragile to face the truth. So we can't have agility without first really having our fragility. To be able to not soothe by fixing, not soothe by doing, to just sit still. And I wrote it down because I think it's one of the most profound things I've ever heard. Take interest and draw near. Our body wants to move away, but take interest and draw near. My little boy Sebastian has a neurological synapse problem, and he started having violent seizures every 6 days. I had just fixed my kidneys. My son was every 6 days. I told people about it. People offered to help. They gave me advice. But the gentleman at NASA, my other, who I started hating, put in his calendar every 6 days, and he would just text me, I'm here. A year later, my son and I were going to celebrate in Tulum. Tony was there. Rick was there. My son had a year without a seizure. And right before we were going to blow out the candle, he had a seizure. And I got a text 5 minutes later, I'm here. When I look at everybody here, I know what you do in the world and tolerate a lot and do so much. I think the most profound gift that each of you has given me is just being present, and I'm here. Thank you.